Hello, my name is Corinne Vinipol, and I'm the president and CEO of the Institute for Disabilities Research and Training, which you probably know as IDRT. We have interpreting for us Anna Rose, and I want to thank her very much for joining us today and making this program accessible. Today, I'm going to talk to you about IDRT's website, which is called My ASL Tech. And you can access this website either by going into IDRT.com and looking for it here on the toolbar, or you can just type myasltech.com and it'll take you directly to this place on the toolbar. Now, what happens when you become a member is that you always have an individual membership that is attached to your email address. And it doesn't matter if you get a group membership or a large group membership. What happens is you are still an individual member. And when you become a member, you get a password. And you can change your password, but you do need a password to log on. Now, My ASL Tech is a website whose purpose is to help you make instructional materials easily, efficiently, quickly. Many of the tools that are on here were developed with funds from the U.S. Department of Education and the National Science Foundation. The idea for the website began many years ago. IDRT began in 1986, and we started building software in the early 1990s. After we had built a couple pieces of software, I began to think about what do teachers really need. And I myself used to be a classroom teacher and also a school administrator. And I used to spend the majority of my evenings when I was a classroom teacher building instructional materials. The reason is, as you all probably know, that ASL and most sign languages are not written. And so the only way to express them in media is through animation, video, or images. So to make instructional materials, I was spending all of my time drawing, copying, pasting, and it took way too much of my time. So I thought, let me see if my company can build a piece of software that will let teachers do this in a much more efficient manner. So we started off making two products. First, ASL Clip and Create. And some of you may have gotten this. And we made our first one, and this was essentially a publishing tool. It just flew off the shelves, and we were kind of shocked because I didn't realize that teachers would need it that much. Well, eventually, we decided, well, we better upgrade it. So we upgraded it one time, and that flew off the shelves. And what happened at first was that people seemed very satisfied. But then we started getting complaints. Well, why don't you have this sign? Or why don't you have that sign? Well, why can't you add this function? Why can't you add that function? And I was really excited because what that said to me was that teachers really, really needed this. And once they got an understanding of what it would do for them, they wanted more of the same. So we upgraded 5 times. And each time, unfortunately, our customers had to buy an upgraded CD. Well, during this time period, we also started getting requests from teachers that they wanted to be able to type and have the signs appear above the words while they typed. Sorry, that was my husband interfering in the video. So I was very reluctant to do this at first because I didn't want people to misconstrue this as that we were generating pure ASL. Because no matter what people tell you these days, the only way that you can generate ASL in real time is with a sign language interpreter. You can have short lexicons, you can pre-record, but not in real time. So I said, okay, we'll make a piece of software that will provide sign supports for reading, and we developed the sign generator. Well, then I was sort of stuck because I was developing one product, the sign generator, which had a database of entries, and ASL Clip and Create, which had almost the identical, and I was going back and forth and back and forth. We also, at this time, had requests from people who were Apple users. They might have a Mac instead of a PC, and they couldn't use our products because all of our products were PC-based. Plus, we were concerned about itinerant teachers who had to take these CDs and go from school to school to school. Then more and more people started relying on mobile technology. So it seemed to me that the only logical thing to do would be to move all of our important products online so that people who used our software could reach it from any device at any time, and that the database of entries could upgrade on a continual basis and in response to requests. So that's how my ASL Tech was born. We sent some grant requests to both the U.S. Department of Education and the National Science Foundation, and lo and behold, in 1 year we got 3 grants, and we were able to begin the website. So let me show you a little bit about the website. First of all, it has 9 tool areas, and each of these blocks here represents a tool or a tool area. And that means they're separate pieces of software. Now, if you want to log on, you can always go in here where it says login. And remember, I told you you have to have an email address and a password. You also, if you know which tool you want to go into, you can just click on anything that says Access Now. So let me show you the first tool. This is my ASL dictionary. Now I'm not logged in yet, so watch what happens when I click Access Now. So this is my login screen. Now it's pre-filled out for me. What you'll see with many of the tools is a categories menu. Now our database has over 10,600 entries. And these are entries of words, phrases, idioms, numbers, symbols, and letters. If you want to see the entire database, you go into this all category. If you know what you want specifically, you can go into one of these other categories. Now, when you click on all, you will notice that it'll take a few seconds for it to load. That's because each of those 10,600 plus entries, and still growing, has several things. So I'm just going to click randomly. Let's see. How about coincidence? Okay. So you will see a main graphic. You will see that has a concept picture, the sign, and the English word. You can get the sign graphic only, the sign video, a concept graphic, an English definition, and an ASL definition. Now, in the dictionary, you can find words either by typing them here, or you can just scroll. Okay? Now, you can print directly from the dictionary, but when you go to print, you will only print one image. So if you want this image, you can just click print and it'll go to the print screen. You can print this or you can print that. But that's the only thing that you can do other than looking from the dictionary. We have other tools that do other things. Now, the next tool that I want to show you is the sign generator. Now, with this one, this gives you sign supports for reading. And it can help with translation if you're in a pinch and the communication is simple and you don't have access to a sign language interpreter. But mainly it's sign supports for reading. So you can say anything. This is sign supports for reading. And then I can either pick enter or generate. And instantaneously, we get the sign supports to help students read English words. Now, any word that's yellowish, like is, means there's more than one sign possibility. So for here, we can use the sign English with the I on the mouth. We can use the sign for sure. We can use is that you might use in math, like this is to this, like equals. So we'll just pick one for now. But if you want to say, I'm really not comfortable with that sign, or my students already know how to read that word, or it's not used in ASL, you can hide it. You can also fingerspell. Now here's another word, sign. So if you look over here, you've got multiple options. So we can have a sign like a sign that's a board, sign language, sign as in to sign a document, or two other signs for sign language. So here, if I want to pick this one, let me show you something first. Notice that all these start with the word sign, but, okay, if the concept is different, you'll see it in parentheses here. So see, this one says board, that one says write. So it gives you a hint that even though the English is the same, the concept behind it is different. These three have the same concept, which is sign language, but there are three different signs for it. Sign 1, sign 2, and sign 3. So if you need further help in selecting a sign, you can look at it that way. And here, supports. This one has multiple signs. Okay, so we're going to pick one. And then we even have the punctuation. So if you don't want the punctuation, if you want a concept picture, you can do that. So whatever you want, you can lay it out here for your students in this way. Now, you also have an option that you can play a video of what you set up. So notice it goes exactly the way that we set it up. Now, there's another cool feature in the sign generator. Some of these tools have banks in the cloud where you can store things that you make. So, for example, if you're an itinerary teacher and you're going from one place to the other and you don't have your laptop with you or another place to store, you can store in your bank in the cloud. So if I want to fetch something from my bank, I hit this button, load, and it will give me a list of the things that I have up here. Now, also, if I am linked to other people's banks, I can go into their bank. So let's first save here, and let's call this Sign Supports. Okay. Oh, I got a connection issue right now. So what happens is, let me show you again up here. So you will get a list of your products down here. You can open them up and you'll see a little file folder. And then if you want it, you just open the folder and it'll appear here. If you don't want it, you'll see a little X. And that means you can delete it. Now, one thing you can do is that you can go into other people's banks with whom you are connected as colleagues. And anything in their bank, if you're connected, you can open it up and see a copy of it here. If you like it, you can save it in your bank. And then you will have a copy as well. You won't be able to disturb anything in someone else's bank. But you can make a copy for yourself. Now we have another product called the Concept Generator. I'm not really going to show it to you. It operates very similarly to the Sign Generator, but it just does concept pictures. Oh, I forgot to show you something. Some people have asked, is there a way to save this? You can go into Save, okay? You can also, when you go into Print, you can save it as a PDF here. Okay, so if you click the other save, it's going to go in your bank. If you want to save it on your computer, save as a PDF. Okay. You also, when you play the video, let's see. See these three buttons? You can download the video. So what's really cool about this is that you can import the video or the PDF into other documents. So for example, if you're making a PowerPoint presentation, you can save these and move them into your PowerPoint and actually make a storybook. You do not have to type in here. You can also paste an unlimited amount of text in. So you can go into a Word doc, you can go on the internet, copy, paste, click, generate, and then play around with how you want it to display. Really fast. So you can imagine stories, news, almost anything you want, you can put here. And the next one I want to show you is here, games. So we have two games here, Sino. So this is sign language bingo. And you'll notice you can play this using the all category or by foods. And what you will see will happen, and I'm gonna just do it very briefly, is you will see a video and then you can, let's see, here we go. Okay. So then we see if we can find what it is. Let's see. If we're correct, okay, you get a happy face. If you're wrong, it tells you you're wrong, try again. If you're wrong a second time, it tells you what the right answer is, and then it puts a sad face. Of course, the point of this is to get all happy faces in a row in any direction. Okay, the next one I want to show you is, so that one's interactive, and that's the kind of thing that you can play with the kids, either in person, or you can even play online and have the kids tell you what to click on. Because I know a lot of you are working remotely. Okay, this one, concentration, is like the memory match game. And with this one, what you're going to try to do is match a picture of a sign with an English word. Now, you can play with a 3x3 game board, which is for young children or old people like me who can't remember anything anymore, or with a big game board. So I'll just show you like what the difference is. So that's a big game board, and this is a small game board, same category. So here's an example. So there's no match, so they disappear. If there's a match, it gives you a happy face. So of course what we want is all happy faces on here to finish the game. And it'll keep score for you. Now there's almost no place on this website where we have curriculum. Purpose of this website is really to support any curriculum that you have. But there is one piece of curriculum, and that's Signing Science for Kids. And this was sponsored by the National Science Foundation, and part of it was also adopted by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So I'll just show you just a little bit about it. So you put your name in here, and then, or the child's name, and click OK. And what happens is, so anytime you want to see the ASL, you can just click right here. There are 3 different labs. Each of the labs has animation, information, games, quizzes, printable activities, science activities. I'll just give you a little taste of it. So this is the cloud lab. I click on the cockpit button. You notice that the person who logged in becomes the co-pilot. I can maybe see a weather report. So you notice that if I want to see the sign language, just pops up here. And then we have animation. And like I said, you can see anything with the ASL button. I didn't want to go too far into this, but there's tons of stuff that you can do here. It'll keep your kids busy for a long time. I would say this would be best for children, middle, upper elementary school with the reading level. Now, excuse me, one second, I'm going to take a drink. I don't know if Anna has to dip her fingers in water. Okay, so the next one I want to show you is the publisher. Now, this is the online version of ASL Clip and Create. Now, with this one, you can design almost any kind of print material that you want. Some of you may be familiar with Paint or Adobe Photoshop. And what I tell people, this is sort of like a dummied down Adobe Photoshop, but it allows you to access all of the images that we have on our website. So remember, we have 10,600 plus and growing website entries in the database. Each one has 3 pictures. That big picture we saw, the concept only, and the sign only. So if you want to grab any of those pictures, see this button here, My ASL Dictionary, takes you to the category menu. Let's say we want to go into sports, badminton. Okay, say we want to import this one. Now you may remember with the dictionary, we had all these buttons, but we did not have this button. This is the button that will allow you to put that image on your canvas. So I'm going to click here, and it says, click anywhere on your canvas to insert this image. So I said, okay, and I click, and it appears. Any image that you're working on, you will see that highlighted little dotted line around it. When you have this image here where you see the little crisscross cursor that lets you move, okay, let's see. So here, if I want this image, whoops, I'm in a loop. Okay. So I can also draw. If I want to click on something else, okay. If I want to resize, now there's a trick with resizing, and some of you may know it. If you hold down the Shift key while you drag your image, so see the cursor right now is a double line. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and while I resize, the proportions remain the same. Now I'm going to take my finger off of that key and watch what happens when I resize. Okay, the proportions do not stay the same. So remember, if you want your proportions to stay the same, keep that Shift key down, and I can move it anywhere I want. So you see here, I'm able to draw squiggly lines, I can draw straight lines, I can draw shapes. Now, one thing, if you want to use color, at the bottom here, you will see that this part will fill it in. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to pick a color. Okay, so remember I had this part highlighted, and this allowed me to fill in the middle. This part allows me to change the outline of anything. So if I click here, if I want it red, see what happened there? Now, as long as I have these choices, which I can change anytime, anything that I make, so let's make some stars, are going to come out that color. If I want to change it again, you can see what happens. Now, another cool thing is, well, let me show you here. You can add text. Now, we have multiple scroll bars here, so be careful. So one is on my regular screen on the side. You have another scroll bar here. You got another one here at the bottom. When you add text, you have another scroll bar up at the top. So if I pull it down, I can change the font. Oops, here we go. I can change the size. Okay, so you have a bunch of options here of what you do with your text. This part over here, you can add all kinds of other symbols. Now, another thing that is cool is you can go into here and you can import things from your desktop. So if you have images on your computer, like a photo, a picture, and you want to add it to your creation, you can do it from here. Now, this one is if you have something in your bank that you want to open, you can do it right here. So you can click on here, and it'll take you to your bank. Now, when something comes in from the bank, it'll show up small over here because it's saving space in the bank, but then you can pull it, drag it so that it gets big. Now, you can save here in multiple ways. One is you can save to your MyASL publisher bank. So remember we had a bank with a sign generator? And we also have banks with the publisher. So I can save in my bank. I can also save to my desktop. Now, when it says save to the desktop, what it really means is save to your computer. When you save here, what happens is it will probably go in your download folder. So look there, and it'll probably be called like image 1, image 2. Now, when I say save to bank, okay, it'll choose the location. And then you can name your image in the bank, right? Also, make sure when you save that you save as a PNG, in a PNG format, so that, or JPG, so that you can import it into other documents. But there are a lot of other things to play around with here, but I'm going to let you play with these yourself. Now, if we go back here, this part is called My ASL Templates. So I'm going to access this now. Now we have 6 templates right now. The first one is called Finger Spelling Scramble. I'm going to click on that. Now you can play again with any of these categories or with all. So let's say we want to do school. So here is the list of all the words in the database that are in the school category. So I can either double click and they'll go down into my choice folder, or I can pick something and click select. So whatever you choose to be on your worksheet here will come down here. So, or like I said, you can just double click and you can do 6 words. Now you have options here. So if you only want the finger spelling and you want the students to write the words here, you can do that. Or you can show them the words that are in the scrambles and they can decide which is which. You can take the same worksheet. So say you're working on a set vocabulary list. You can give the students these finger spelling scrambles on Monday. All you have to do is click one more time. You have a new worksheet, same vocabulary, Tuesday. Click Wednesday. Okay, makes it super fast to make some worksheets. As we said, right now we're recording this while a lot of people are in quarantine and working remotely. So if you want, what you can do is you can print. And again, if you click print, you have the option of saving as a PDF. So you can save as a PDF and then email to your students. You can even email each student a different page by just clicking that Scramble Again button. Very simple. The next one I want to show you is, we're going to go back to the templates. Here, we're going to do a crossword puzzle. So maybe this time we'll do the arts. So I'm going to double click here. We can also always type here. And I can start building my crossword puzzle. Okay, now we have options here. You can put in the clues here, write whatever you want. So if you're working on a specific curriculum and you want words from them, you could write clues related to the content of your curriculum, or you can use sign language clues. So the one where no sign's available, I would probably get rid of. Could be barnstorm. Yep. So here, okay, we can add another one. So here's another way to do your crossword puzzle. Again, scramble again, so you see same words, different puzzle. Okay, and for you want to print one with the answers. For the kids, you're going to print the puzzles and it won't have the words in here. Let me go back. Okay. I'm going to show you the next one. This will be, we're going to templates again. We're going to go to the word search. So here, maybe we'll do clothing. So I'm going to pick words that I want in here. Oh, okay. And you notice that it starts spilling out in yellow where the words are that I chose for my puzzle. So down the bottom, I can give the students the words, or I can give them sign clues at the bottom. I also have choices of the letters, so I can either use the regular alphabet or I could do finger spelling. Now, whatever I do, again, we have that scramble again option. Let me show you with the words. Whoops. Because you can see it a little bit better. So again, different puzzle with just scramble again, and you have the sign clues, the word clues, and the finger spelling as options for making different puzzles using the same vocabulary. Okay, notice all this takes a few seconds. So if you're working remotely and you have groups and you have to keep the kids busy with independent work, this is a great way to give them something to work on, or with homework, another fast thing to do. Okay, the next one I want to show you is Sino cards. So remember, we had Sino as an interactive game. This one builds bingo, or as we call it, Sino cards. So I'm going to use description words, and we're going to build the cards. Now you need 25 words to build a card. So I'm just going to show you a few of the words. You have several options. You can do signs, as you see, concept pictures, or words. And again, scramble again. So if you're playing with a group of kids, even remotely, what you can do is you build a card and you print or save as a PDF and email to Johnny. Scramble, save as a PDF, email to Mary. So this way, within a couple seconds, every kid has a separate card and you can play. You can use whatever you want for prompts. So if you want, for example, the words here, and you want to use sign and they have to find it, or you can show them flashcards and they have to find the sign. You can do anything that you want here to build a bingo or Sino card. Now the next one I want to show you here in the templates is flashcards. And I'm sure all of you at some point have made flashcards. So here, let's say we're doing holidays, and you can make them super fast here. So notice, if you want to make the cards, all you have to do is, if you want them to be individual, is cut across between the rows. Now you can show anything that you want. So notice here at the bottom, we have sign, concept, word. If I don't want the concept picture, I can take it out. You can take out the word, whatever you want, put them back in, and build flashcards any way you want. And of course, we've got a scramble again option. But instead of you having to draw things and cut and paste, couple seconds, you're done. Now here, let's see, the templates. The last one I want to show you is the matching. And I'm sure some of you have used this, you've done matching with your kids before. So here, let's see, gray, let's see, purple. Okay, so here, let's see, you know, look for red, here's red, put that in. Now, you can do a matching, so that here they have to match a sign to an English word. So here it says that. If you want to do a concept to the word, you can do that. If you want to do a sign to a concept, you can do that. Scramble again. So the kids just have to draw lines to whatever is matched. So there's blue, purple, okay? Very simple. As you can see, lots of options and only a couple seconds to build it. The next thing I want to show you is my ASL Quiz Maker. Now with the Quiz Maker, this one was supported by the Institute for Educational Sciences within the U.S. Department of Education. So the publisher was supported by the Office of Special Education Programs, and the sign generator was sponsored by the National Science Foundation. So IES supported this, and the idea for this came actually from a teacher in Wisconsin who said she was having a difficult time finding a way to do quizzes for her students with sign language supports. So the way to do this is, first of all, you can go into your rosters. Now remember, before we had banks for the sign generator and banks for the publisher, and you can save in those and also link to colleagues. In this one, you have 3 banks. So you have a bank of quizzes that you already published. You built the whole thing finished. You have a bank for quizzes that you're working on, you didn't finish building. And you also have a bank of every single question that you ever built. So here, you can go in with your colleagues and share any of those 3 banks in the same way you did with the sign generator and the quiz maker. Now, before we get further in the quiz maker, let me take you over to that colleagues section. So you'll notice here in the main, you see where it says My ASL Colleagues, that's on your home page here. So if you go in there, this is where you can build up your colleagues. And you can set up a profile, you can change your avatar here, you can put in any information you want. For example, when we were up in New Jersey, one of the teachers teaches culinary arts, and he was very interested in sharing materials with other people around the country who are teaching the same thing, because, as you can imagine, there's no one else at his school teaching culinary arts. So I said, well, you know, here, when you set up your colleague profile, you can put in any comments you want here, like, I teach culinary arts, I'm an art teacher, I'm a preschool teacher, you know, I teach science, and that way when people look around for other members to link with, they can find people who share common interests. So once you do that, you can go and link. So if you click on here, invite a colleague, this is how you invite people to link with you. So here, if you know someone's a member, or you hope they're a member, you can put their information and they will get an invitation from you. If they're not a member yet, they will get membership information. If they are, they'll get an email and they can say, yes, I accept your invitation, or no, I don't. These are people who have set up, and I can see my staff was playing around because we've been moving to a new server, so they were setting up tests here. So this way, who's ever up here, you can invite them to link with you. And these people have already agreed to be accessible to anyone who wants to link with them. Now, going back here, over here, okay, I can also see any colleagues that I already have. Let's see. I have to look. You have to excuse me. I have to show it to you later. I do apologize. Okay. So here, going back to the quiz maker, if you want to add people to those banks, you can do it right here with the colleague roster. This one is the student roster. With the student roster, this helps you assign quizzes to students. So what you need to do is to set up classes. You can add classes or show the classes you already built. You also can manage the students you put in each class. And I don't mean behaviorally. So here, these are the classes I set up. Well, since I'm not a teacher anymore, I set up fake classes. And so here's Corinne's school system, Lucy Elementary School. The class is first grade reading. I set up the year. Now this way you can open it up and I can see who's in my class. I have 2 students. I can add a student. I can edit, or I can delete the little trash can. When I open it up, I can see all the quizzes that this student, Lucy, has been assigned. So that's one way to manage your data. Now, when you click over here, create or retrieve a quiz, what you want to do here is create a quiz. Now you have multiple options here. First, you can go into your published quiz bank. And remember we said we have 3 banks. So these are the quizzes that we finished developing. So I can go in there, and if there's something I already developed, I can recall it. So say, for example, I gave a quiz to my 3rd period class, and I want to give the same quiz to the 5th period class. I can recall the quiz and just assign it to another class. Or say I did this quiz in 2018 and I want to give the quiz again in 2020. You'll notice here some of these quizzes are listed multiple times. That's because they were given more than once. Same quiz, but they have 2 separate times. So here, got a year, a date, and the time they were stored here in the bank. So that's one option here. I also can open up an open quiz. Maybe I started to develop something, got partway through, had to go make dinner, come back later, want to finish. So that's where I would find that quiz. Now, suppose we're making a brand new quiz. Here, I can name my quiz. So let's call this quiz pets. It doesn't matter. This part gives you an opportunity to add any other information that you want. You don't have to fill it out. The only things you have to fill out are the parts that have that little star that says required field. So maybe this is a pre-test preparation. Like I said, type anything you want. And these are general instructions that you might give to the student at the top of a quiz. Again, you can type anything you want. This tells me things that I put down in the past I might want to use again. So say that's what I want to use again. Now you have several options of display. So first, for example, say I want to add the sign generator prompts to help with reading. I can copy, click Add Signs, takes me over to the sign generator, paste, or I can type fresh here, generate. Okay, I have the same options I did before with fixing that I did before, so maybe I want to hide this, and I can pull in a video. If I just want the graphics to appear on the test, I can do graphics, I can save the video, either way, okay? So I've decided I wanted both. I click Save, and what it tells me on this page is the graphic is here on the internet here, and the video is here. Now you don't have to use this. Again, these are options. You also have 2 other options. One here, if you want to add any other image that you have on your computer. So say you want a picture of pets, your own pet, you want to put on there, you can do that. You also, if you want to do a video, maybe of you signing an ASL, you can create a YouTube video and you can add it in here. Just show the link that you want to appear on the quiz. Now here, this would be the grade maybe. So let's say maybe it's first grade, not required, but you can. The subject, not required, but the points is required. And that's so the quiz can be scored. So here, let's make it a real quick quiz, maybe 2 points. And if you want to put any information for yourself about how you're going to grade this, maybe it's going to be pass, fail, maybe A, B, whatever you want, 1, 2, you can add it in here. Now this you have to do. So what happens here is it's going to create a link for every student that you're going to give this to. And when you hand it to the student, that's when they will have access to it. So they'll have access from the minute you change this, you complete this quiz, but only once you give them their link. What this is the date when it'll disappear from the internet and they can't get it anymore. Obviously, you want to give them their links before it disappears. But here, today is the 9th, September 21st. So let's see here. So let's do here, we'll put September 25th and we'll pick a time. And the time may be 8:30 in the morning. Now the times constraints is the amount of time that the student will have once they start it till it disappears. So because this is going to be a short test, maybe that we only want to give them 15 minutes. Or we can pick a duration. Then you click continue. Now what happens when you click continue is it gives you the option of checking everything and editing if you want. You want to change anything right here. If this looks good, click next. Now, what happens here is that you can then start building the questions for your quiz. You can go into your question bank and just recall a question that you had before. So say, for example, you do 1 quiz a week, and then for the end of the semester, you want to pull in a question from each of the quizzes or some of the quizzes. You don't have to go back and recreate the questions. Just go into your question bank and pull them into your final exam here. Or you can make new questions. Now, when you make new questions, you have 6 options of the type of question that you want to build. So we're going to do this real fast. We're going to do a true, false. And maybe the question is, a robot is a pet. Now, again, we can go into the sign generator and do what we did before. We can also add the sign graphics. We can do, add our own graphics. We can add the YouTube video, anything that we want, again, to this question. And then here, we have to tell the computer with a true false if this is correct or not correct, and it will score automatically for us. So since this is a false statement, we'll put false. And then this is required. We have to say how many points that question will be worth. So let's say maybe it's worth 1 point. We're going to publish the question. Now, once it's published, it goes into that question bank. Now here we can look at everything. You'll excuse me, I gotta take another drink. Now, notice at the bottom, it's a 2-point quiz, but we've only done 1 point of the 2. So that's why the next appears. If we want to change, and we can always change this too. See here, we can open up the question, edit, or throw it away. If I decide, you know what, I just want this to be a 1-question quiz, I can click the edit button. I'm going to change this to 2. I'm going to update the question. And then the publish button comes up because I've got 2 out of 2 points. When I click publish, it verifies everything and it says this quiz is published. So now this quiz is going into that published quiz bank. I can then assign it to students. Remember before we had the student roster and I had my classes? So here I can decide which class is going to get this. Maybe it'll be my first grade class. Now I have an option here. I can assign it to all the students or I can select individual students. So here, let's say all. I only have 2 students in this class. Click Assign to Students. You will see when you go down, so we have all the information about the quiz, questions, but here are the 2 students. The status here is it's now been assigned. Each student now has a personal link. Now, they do not have to be a member to get their link, to take the quiz. You just have to give them their link. And it doesn't matter how you give it to them. You can email, you can write it on a piece of paper, you can write it on the board, but this is their individual links. Now, once you give them the link, remember they can get into the quiz. Then when they have finished taking the quiz and they click finished, this will come back as returned. And the link will have changed because it will have the students' information that they put in the quiz on there. You can then open the link, grade it, add your comments. When you click finish, this will say graded. And again, the link will change and you can give the students their new link. So that's how the quiz maker works. Now, one other thing, I should have showed you, my apologies. Over here, there's statistical analysis. Now, when you link banks with people, they can never see your students' information. They can see the quizzes, they can see the questions, but not your students' information, their names, their scores. And when you put them in the roster, you don't even have to put their names. You can give them a code name, code ID, that's fine. But they do have to have some kind of ID so they have individual statistics assigned to them. But here you can look at the scores by the students, so you can pull up a quiz and see how Johnny, Mary, Joey did on it. And this one, you can look at the scores by the quiz. Okay, I'm sorry, this is by the student, so you can see how Mary did on all of her quizzes. This one, a particular quiz, and how all the children did on that quiz. So going back now, let's see. The next one I want to show you is the thesaurus. With the thesaurus, as you know, sign language, because it's not written, it doesn't appear in ABC order. So it's hard to create a dictionary unless you arrange things in accordance with a written alphabet. But a long time ago, we decided that we were going to build a dictionary that allows you to describe a sign by 4 what we call shereens. So some of you may know of William Stokey, who was a professor of Gallaudet at Gallaudet University many years ago. And he developed a way of describing signs by the hand shape, the palm orientation, the movement, and the location. And he called these different parameters shereens as opposed to phonemes. So you can call them anything you want. And of course, there are actually some other shereens with sign language, like speed and facial expression and body position. But we use basically 4 here to let you identify many of the words in our dictionary. So the words that are simple, that are not compound signs, can be found here. And the first one lets you pick a handshake. So let's say we want to find a sign made with the one hand shape. So if the right hand is the one hand shape, we can find a different one for the left, or we could say the same. Then we do a search. Now, what this tells me is there are 313 words in our dictionary, simple signs, made with these hand shapes. And you see they're all here. So this is a fun way not only to find a sign, but you can imagine all the games you can play, ASL poetry, ASL storytelling. A cool way to look for words. Now, if you want to add a filter, the next filter you can add is the hand location. So we know these are the hand shapes we're using. So let's see, the right hand, let's say, is made in front of the body. Let's say they're both the same, and we're going to do a search. Now it tells me that there are 68 words in our database, simple signs, made with this hand shape and in front of the body. So you can see here, how cool is that? So the other ones that you can add, like I said, are the movements. So here we have movements. And we have also palm orientation. So it's a cool way to have fun. I should mention to you that we send out an email blast, and if anybody wants to be on our mailing list, just let me know. But every email blast once a month has 10 instructional activities. And so there are games that you can play, like with hand shapes and with some of the tools in my ASL Tech. We have a lot of fun ones with hand shapes and palm orientations and movements. Okay. The last part I want to show you is the stories. Now, we've been building stories at IDRT since the 90s. You may know that the first piece of software that had sign language in it in the United States was Rosie's Walk, that was done at the Texas School for the Deaf. And then we did the second one, which was Pause Sign Stories. Since then, we made a number of stories. And what we've been doing is trying to move a lot of our stories online for the benefit of users. Some years ago, we had a grant from the Office of Special Education Programs on deaf Hispanic heritage, and we took a lot of folk tales and translated them into American Sign Language. We rewrote them in English, and we also translated them into Spanish and illustrated them. So all of our stories work similarly. In the Tomados de la Mano, which means hand in hand series, you have an option here of doing ASL with English or ASL with Spanish. So as you know, we have a lot of Spanish speaking parents whose children are learning ASL. So this way, the parents who speak Spanish can see and hear the Spanish while the children see the ASL, or hear, as I said, ASL in English. So if you just click on here, the signer will begin. There is voiceover. I don't know if you can hear this through the internet. And then, let's see. If you click here, so this helps you turn the pages, and then you can click here for the ASL. So we try to make the stories volitional. So the children have an opportunity to look at the screen, look at the English, and see the signs whenever they want. If we go back, let's see, we go back here. So the Tomatos de la Manos series has, I believe, 10 Hispanic folk tales. This one, Vision, the Deaf Planet, is about a hearing boy who makes fun of a deaf boy in his class as a cochlear implant. And the teacher gets mad at him, sends him to the resource room to think about his behavior. And while he's there, he falls asleep. And when he wakes up, he's on a planet where everyone is deaf, and he's the only hearing person, and he's the special ed student. So every page not only has story, but you can also go up there and see study questions that make you think about the information that's on the screen. There's also a dictionary, and of course the ASL. This series over here, this is the ASL Tales and Games for Kids series. We created an entire community that has deaf, hard of hearing, and hearing children in it. All of the stories are original. Many of them include elements of deaf culture, sign language. What we tried to do was create good English literature that also was appealing to deaf children and had stories that they could relate to. The stories are developmentally appropriate for young children. We tried especially to include elements that help with visual processing, because that's important for both reading and learning sign language, as well as early academic skills. But these all operate the same. Each one has 3 stories in it. And we may have some coming soon if we can ever get back into the office when COVID's over to do filming. And the last one over here is about Ella, the somewhat true story of a Moroccan dromedary. We were in Morocco for 3 years, helping create education for deaf children over there. And a friend of mine wrote and someone else illustrated this story, and she allowed us to translate it both into English and Moroccan Sign Language and leave it as a gift for the children over there. So we have it here for the benefit of everyone too. So that is basically the website. If you want to find out about membership options, you can go over here into the store, and in the store there's a section for the memberships right here. If you click on here, if you're unfamiliar with it, you never tried it before, there's an opportunity for 2 free weeks. You also can get an individual membership, kid membership, small group or large group. And the prices vary according to the size of the group and the length of time that you get a membership. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can write to IDRT at IDRT.com. We'll answer you probably within a matter of minutes to a few hours. And we are totally open to your needs. If there are words that you don't see in the database that you need, just let us know. We're constantly doing that for people. We have no problems. Also, if you need other strategies for using the website or run into any issues, just let us know and we're happy to help you. I hope you enjoy this, and I look forward to seeing you as members. Thanks.